there is one-to-one interaction. Either your panel will have only one person or two people, and they are sending questions your way and you're responding. So when it comes to group interview, it's very different because you are sitting with 4 or 5 other people who are also aspirants, applicants just like you, and they also want to convert that interview. Okay, so with SPJIMR, so let's understand the entire process first. So you will have a VAT and psychometric test before your interviews, and a lot of people don't take this seriously because psychometric people think that it is something that they want to, they try and manipulate their answers, but that is something that you should not be doing. In psychometric, the key is to stay honest to what you are and respond accordingly. That is, of course, a standard affair. You will be given a topic on which you have to write. After this, you have 2 rounds of interview. Of course, the first round is elimination. So in both the interviews, generally the panel is about 3 people to 4 people. It may happen that the panel has only 2 people. Now, the first round is the elimination round, where you will have typically 5 to 6 applicants, and again, these applicants are mixed. So you will have maybe 2 finance, 2 marketing, 1 operation, 1 IM, and so on. A typical first round interview will last for about 30 to 40 minutes, and once the interview is done, they will be declaring results in another 10 to 15 minutes. Once the result is done, of course, either the entire group or one person from the group or nobody from the group will move to the next round. So it may happen that nobody has moved in, or there is a possibility where everybody in the group has done really well and everybody goes to the next round. For the second round, you will not be sitting with the same set of people most of the time. You may be having somebody who was there in your first round, in your second round as well, but you will typically be sitting with people who were not there in your first round interview. So from the first round, if you make it, you get to attend the second round. Again, it will have about 5 to 6 applicants. Now, in round 2, the interview can go to somewhere around 30 to 60 minutes on average. So there's no definite duration, and unless specified for a question, everybody is given freedom to speak for as long as they want. And that's why there have been instances where the second round interview has actually gone for something like 1.5 hours. And the important thing here is to keep your stamina, and because a lot of us are not used to a process like this where you sit in for 1.5 hours for an interview, where you're not only concerned about how you are going to perform, but you also have to focus on what others are saying and doing. Right? So let's just quickly get through the first round. Now, SPJIMR first round has always been more technical. And by technical, I'm not saying that they will be asking a lot of technical questions, but it is something that is largely related to what you have done, your work experience, your academic background, and the course that you want to get in. So you can expect a lot of functional questions as well as a lot of academic or subject-related questions in this round. So each person, generally they begin with this, that each person in the group will be given a chance to introduce. So if there are 6 people, they will say that, okay, start introducing yourself, and you have about 60 seconds to do that. Now, it's a good idea to sort of prepare your introduction as a 1-minute introduction and a 2-minute introduction, because this duration might vary. So when you're actually preparing for the interview between now and when you actually go for the interview, make sure that you have 2 types of introductions prepared. One is a 60-second introduction, and the other one is a 2-minute introduction. Now, try and include things like, of course, your name, where you come from, your academic background, what you're doing right now, and maybe 1 or 2 lines on your achievements. But try and keep it concise and make sure that you have the impact that you want to have. Coming to the next kind of question that one can expect is your favorite subject. So if you're somebody who is in the final year of graduation or have recently graduated, expect a lot of questions on what's your favorite subject. And people like to ask fundamental questions. So generally people will not get into extremely difficult stuff, but they will always ask some of the fundamental questions, very basic. For example, a chemistry grad might be asked to define an orbital, which is again a very basic thing if you're a chemistry graduate. Some engineer might be asked to define, say, laws of thermodynamics, or somebody with a finance background can get some of the financial terminologies, maybe just to explain or to give a definition or to just opinion about something which is going on in that particular domain. Current affairs. Current affairs is something which features a lot in the first round, because they will always want to know the opinion that you have on a particular issue. So what I would suggest is just brush up your current affairs, something that has happened in the last 1 year, and have your own view about it. Of course, it's a good idea to Google and go through at least 3 to 4 different articles on that subject, so that you have a little bit in-depth, so to say, understanding of what essentially the topic is, and then try and form an opinion as to, in case somebody asks you, okay, what do you think of this? This is what I think. People with work experience will definitely get questions, a lot of questions on work experience actually, because they want to know what exactly are you doing, first of all. So while answering work experience questions, make sure that you use the right mix of I and we statements. Because generally people start saying we did this, we did that, we were given this project and XYZ. But you need to understand that we doesn't really translate to what exactly your contribution was. So make a good use of we and I statements where you say that, okay, we were working on this and I was responsible for this and I took the initiative. So these nice words, you make them understand that some of the qualities that you Okay, so these are the questions that you can expect. So about work experience, of course, where you are working, what kind of role you are doing, how many people are there in your team. Again, some of these questions are, if we want to get technical about it, we always can. So a lot of times we ask people, how many people are there in your team? A lot of times people say about 12 people. There is no such thing as about 12 people. Either there are 12 people or 13 people or 11 people. So be a little more precise about whatever you have to say, and that should take care of a lot of things. Now coming to the why MBA part, of course, this is something that you will be asked not only in the SPJIMR interview, but you will be asked different versions of this question in various interviews. So again, some of the associated questions are, why do you want to do it at this point of time in your career? Or why do you want to do MBA with this particular background? If you have something which is unconventional. So these questions you have to prepare for it. There's no substitute for it. Again, since you're applying to SPJIMR, they will definitely ask you why do you want to join SPJIMR. And it's always good to prepare that answer well in advance, rather than going to institute and then figuring out. Excuse me, can you just mute yourself?
Okay, what was that? That was fun. What was that? Okay, guys, please, all of you, please, could you keep yourself?
That's tough.
Yeah, right. So what I'm going to do, if you guys come on, unmute yourself, is I'm just going to go ahead and mute you. In which case you can't unmute yourself again. So please don't mind that, but that needs to be done because when someone's talking, you have to be a little. Maybe we have to be quiet, otherwise he can't continue with what his point is, right? I'm very sorry, Prasad.
It's okay. Let's move on.
Right. Please continue. I'm just letting everyone know that from here on out, if anyone gets unmuted, I'm just going to go ahead and mute you guys. Chalega, no? Cool. Right. I'm going to unmute myself now. Please continue, Prasad.
Okay. So I was talking about SP now. Again, there are a lot of things. Hello. Okay. So there are a lot of things that SPJIMR does. If you just go to the website and the YouTube channel and the Facebook page, you will be quite pleasantly surprised to see the things that they're doing, and you may want to talk about some of those things. So they might be asking questions not only about the MBA part of it. There are a lot of other courses that are there at SPJIMR, and you can definitely go through the website and see what all is offered to what kind of audience. Another typical question is what other calls do you have? So if you are asked this question, be honest and say that these are the calls that you have. There is no harm in mentioning those things because they have your CAT score, so they will understand. In case you don't say that I don't have this particular call, they will eventually figure it out that okay, you're lying. So instead of that, be honest and say that these are the calls I have. But expect this question. Now, during the interview, as I said in the beginning of the session, the VAT and the psychometric is important from not only in the individual sense, but also from interview point of view. It's very important because the topic which was given to you for VAT, the group might be asked to discuss that topic as well. Okay, so so make sure that you whatever you have written, you know it well first of all, and have a nice discussion because this is not a GD. So a lot of times, in case people start shouting and make it a GD situation, the panel intervenes and a little more lenient and then be civil and then discuss. So have a nice discussion. There are going to be only 5 or 6 of you. Be cordial and have a really nice discussion. Now there might be some other different topic altogether which is given to you and you are asked to discuss that. But make sure that you have a nice discussion. Now the flow of questions per se is not definite in an order. So it won't be as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and everybody is getting the same set of questions. So I may ask number 1, you're planning to specialize in marketing. So can you just tell me a little bit about the 7 P's of marketing? And can you also tell me your favorite advertisement? So depending on what this person says, person 4 can be asked the next question. So what do you think of this advertisement? Do you like this? Do you like what they're promoting here? So that is how it will work. So it's very random. So you need to be alert and you need to understand what others are saying. Okay. So that is how the flow will okay. So thanks for putting it on. Okay. So so the flow will be very random. Right? The person 1 gets, basis his responses, somebody else can be asked to comment on it, or might be asked something which is completely irrelevant to that question which was asked. By this specialization. So as I said, the group is going to be mixed. So I'm marketing operations, all of you will be jumbled, so it's not going to be only finance group. So people will be asked to specify why they want to specialize in this particular domain. There might be, so instead of the VAT topic or some other topic which is given for discussion for about 5 to 7 minutes, there might be a small business situation or a proposal which will be told to you, and you have to discuss that. But again, the discussion, I haven't really seen a case where the discussion of a topic was more than 10 minutes. So even if you get it, it will be pretty small discussion because again, there are only 5 of you, but make sure you make good points and just put yourself on mute. Yeah, it disturbs the entire flow of the.
Sorry, I'm getting a little upset about this. But there are some people. I mean, I'm constantly muting them and they're unmuting themselves again. So I've dismissed this person from the chat. So guys, please, I'm telling you.
Okay.
I mean, I cannot stress this enough. Please keep yourself muted because we need the session to keep, in progress, right? We can't. Yeah. Please stop it. This is getting a little out of hand. So I'm really sorry, Prasad. This is kind of a first. This never happens. This never happens. This is very upsetting.
Yeah,
but okay. The next time I'm just putting this out there. The next time I see someone unmute themselves, I will mute you. And if you unmute yourself, I will just straight away dismiss you, because I don't think. I mean, that's the right conduct anyway. Right. Please continue. Please continue. Yeah.
Okay.
Please continue. Yeah.
So. A lot of specialization questions, that why do you want to specialize in, especially if you are somebody who is moving from engineering background, let's say, to a finance domain or something which is not related to core academic area in which you are specialized. So as I said, the business situation or proposal might be asked to discuss. A lot of times people have been asked what kind of books they read, or what do they like to read. And then there are questions on books. So if you say that I like, say, Ayn Rand, and so you might be asked, okay, can you comment on objectivism? So if you have specific interest in terms of books, so it's always a good idea to prepare for about 3 to 4 books and authors. So the last 3-4 books that you have read, and at least your 2 to 3 favorite authors and the books that they have written. People might be asked some situational questions. So for example, can you sell a product, app, or service? Can you sell, let's say, dating app, for example? So very random questions, but they can be asked, and they're trying to gauge how do you respond to such questions that you're not expecting. So round 1, as I mentioned on the first slide, will last for about 30-40 minutes. Whoever does well, and according to them, will move to the next stage, which is round 2. So round 2 has been very difficult to prepare for, first of all, because there are questions that have appeared in these interviews that nobody thinks that, okay, they will get in an interview. So these are more behavioral and hypothetical questions, and some of the hypothetical ones are really vague, and we'll come to sample questions. So by behavioral, of course, this is the part where your psychometric assessment that you take, where you generally get 15 to 20 minutes. So I'm hoping they keep the same test that they have. So once you complete the test, there might be questions that they have picked up directly from the psychometric assessment, and you might be asked to explain some of those questions or your take on some of those questions. So the questions that have appeared in the last few years, some of them, of course, I have mentioned them here. So introduce yourself using adjectives. So just use 3 to 4 adjectives to describe yourself. Then there are a lot of questions on your value system, morals, beliefs. Again, understand that this whole exercise is happening with a group. So there are 4 others who are sitting with you who want to get into SPJIMR, and there is a panel of 2 to 3 members who are trying to gauge whether you are the right culture fit. So your value system, morals, beliefs, all these questions start appearing in this interview. Just a simple example of a question that was asked in one of the interviews was, what is the difference between a leader and a follower? Here you might be asked questions on your hobbies and interests. So if you have a particular hobby, they might be asked, you might be asked your motivation behind taking that particular hobby or that particular interest. You can expect a little bit of grilling here, because this is the interview where they sort of decide that, okay, this is the person who is going to get through or not. And that's why generally you will find round 2 lasting for longer compared to round 1. Another question which was asked was, why do people like you? So you will see a lot of variations of these questions. So why do people like you? If your friends want to describe you, how would they describe you? Or if your colleagues want to describe you, how would they describe you? And so on. Why do people don't like you? So again, this is a question as to what aspects of your personality do you think are something that people may not appreciate? So this was another vague question which was asked as to what kind of a person would you like to share room with in the first year? And again, you need to be very diplomatic about it, and you will have, of course, basis your personality type, you will generally gel with some kind of people. So you can, of course, comment on as to what qualities you have, and you may want somebody who shares some of those qualities, but of course brings in some other quality that you will find very enriching, so to say, because you will be staying for a long time with this person. So there has to be, of course, camaraderie, but there has to be a lot of learning as well. So don't say that, okay, I want somebody who is exactly like me, because that is not going to help you. So think of as to how an answer will sound to somebody else. And for all these questions and your typical HR questions and interview questions, it's a good idea to write down long answers, show it to somebody, speak them out, and try and see how you sound, and then reduce the length of your answers to make them easy. So again, a few examples of questions that have been asked in the past. What animal or bird do you identify with? Again, something that you don't expect in an interview. But then a good idea to sort of think of it right now as to, in case this question comes, this is my answer going to be. What was the worst phase in your life which you wouldn't want even your enemies to go through? A behavioral question that they want to understand, were there any phases in your life where you were really down? And so, of course, you should mention the phase in your life, but also make it a point to specify the learnings that you have had because of that particular phase and how you came out of that phase. What is it that you don't like about your boss? So this question, again, there are so many variations that are possible. So a student within the final year might be asked, what is it that you don't like about the dean of your institute, for example. So be prepared for these situations. So what is it that you like about your manager if you're working, or don't like about your manager or colleagues, and so on. Another vague question. So if you were the Prime Minister, 3 things you would change in the system, which was asked, I think, about 1 or 2 years back, this question was asked. Again, it's very difficult to think of these things on the spot, but that is what they're trying to assess, that given something that you're not comfortable with, how do you react? So always it's possible that you may need a few minutes, a few seconds to think about this. So you can say that, okay, can I get 15 seconds to think about this and respond? It's fair to say that. Another extension of your hobby question is how will you connect your hobbies to management?
Excuse me, sir.
Sir?
Yeah. Sir, if they ask questions like the second thing, if we don't get the real story, can we make stories at that time?
Yeah. We'll be taking at the end of the session.
I'm so sorry, Prasad.
Okay. Sorry, sir.
Okay,
sorry.
Yeah. Anyone who has any questions, please put them down in the chat. Like I mentioned to you in the beginning, right? Please keep them in the chat. Because, yeah.
Okay, sorry for that.
Yeah.
No, it's okay. We'll be taking questions at the end. So in case you have any questions, just jot them down at this point of time. So hobbies to management. So here they want to see, okay, what aspects of your hobby you can figure out what skills related to management you can have. For example, if somebody says that my hobby is playing chess. Now, what is it that you can bring, that you can connect with a management skill? So chess will definitely improve your strategic thinking. So this is the connection which is there between your hobby and management is important. And you pick anything, you will have something that you can, it's a transferable skill that you have. For example, if you're dancing, what you can bring is long hours of practice and perseverance. If you're somebody who plays cricket, a team sport, you bring in how to work in teams and how to lead a team. So with every hobby, you have something, a skill, and that is something that the connection you can definitely think of. Where do you see yourself in next years? A technical as well as a behavioral questions. So they are not really looking at extremely concrete answers, because frankly that is very impossible to say considering the kind of technology growth and change that has been going on. Justify your strengths and areas of improvement. So if you are a serious B-School aspirant and you don't know your strengths and areas of improvement, there's something wrong with you. So before going for the interview, make sure that you prepare a list of your strengths, 1 or 2 examples for each of them, as well as areas of improvement, and 1 or 2 examples of each. Ideally, the example should be one from, say, something like an academic. If you're in the final year, you'll have 1 academic and 1 maybe personal example. If you're working, then probably 1 academic and 1 work experience, or a personal example will also do. Another vague question that has appeared in second round is, if the God gives you infinite wealth, how will you use it? So probably this question, I don't know whether you have seen this question before, but this question I like to ask a version of this question a lot whenever I am taking interviews. So the question that I ask is, if you have infinite wealth, so if money is not a constraint, what is it that you would like to do? So that's the question that I typically ask to understand what aspirations or what purpose people have in their lives. What makes you unique? What makes you stand out? Why do you think you're better than the crowd? And so on. What role has fate played in your life? So if you're somebody who believes in luck, or if you don't believe in luck for that matter, what is it that you think is the contribution of fate in your life? Coming to again the ethical question. So have you ever compromised or done anything unethical in your life? Then completely random question, a movie that you watched recently. So a movie that you watched recently, don't say something which is extremely Bollywood entertainment kind of thing. Say something from where you can bring out a discussion point, for example. So I would not really pick something which is mainstream entertainment, but I'll pick something which on which I can talk, on which I can say that, okay, this is probably the reason why it inspired me or something. Situation-based question. So, for example, what do you think of people buying black tickets? Have you ever done that? Or, for example, piracy. So, do you download from torrents and watch movies? So, these kind of questions are asked, and it's always better to stick to what you do. But if you're somebody who downloads movies from torrents, which is of course unethical, don't really, it's not a good idea to accept that in the interview and say that I do that. You may want to say that, so first of all, people who download from torrents are the ones who actually watch a lot of movies. So you can always say that I like to watch movies and probably watch about 4 to 5 movies in theater in a month. You can do that because that is something that a lot of us can afford to do it. A vague question which was asked to one of our students last year was, one of your family members is dying and the person asks you to kill somebody. So what will you do? Again, you can't prepare for these questions, but you have to understand the reason why this question is asked, a very vague behavioral question. So if you are asked this question, what you can do is you can say that, first of all, you will not kill somebody because somebody else is asking you to do it, whether that person is your family member or whoever that person is, because that is against the fundamental human behavior. So you will not do that, but you will rather ask the person the reasoning behind it. And if there is some reasoning, you may want to sort that issue with that person later rather than killing that person. So you need to be very street smart, on your toes the entire time, and figure out, okay, what answer will sound better in that situation. Of course, there will be questions where you will not be able to make the impact that you desire. You will come out of the interview and think that, hey, this is something that I should have done. But that's how it works. So you'll probably do well in some of the interviews, you'll not do well in some of the interviews. So that is okay, and it's very important not to get demotivated at any point of time in the interview. So that brings me to the end of my presentation. We'll be taking questions after this slide. So first of all, think of group interview as personal interview. So there isn't much of a difference. It's just that there are 4 other people watching you and expecting questions on similar lines. So the strategy to crack remains more or less the same. You sit at home, you list down questions that you can be asked, you prepare your answers, you get them reviewed. So the way in which you will prepare for the interview remains more or less the same. But you have to pay attention to what others are being asked, because there will always be questions that are closely related to what somebody else was asked before you. Generally, in most of the P-School processes, so not only SPJIMR but other processes, you will have panel asking you, do you have any questions? And make this a point, always ask questions. So don't ask, of course, don't ask stupid questions, but always ask pertinent, relevant questions, because one, it shows them that you are interested in the institute, and 2, as a manager, you are supposed to be somebody who is interested and wants to know more about something. So don't say that I don't have any question, because it doesn't reflect in a positive way. And as I said, it's okay if you are not able to answer something, because that is going to happen. You don't know each and everything, but don't get nervous. If you get nervous in the first 5 minutes of the interview, your interview is not going to go well. So take it one question at a time, give your response, good, bad, doesn't matter, but be ready for the next question. In psychometric and the group interview, the second round, stay true to your personality. Don't try to play with psychometric, because there is internal validity which is done on every psychometric assessment, and because of which the responses that you give, there has to be some consistency, but you are not somebody who will understand which questions are related to which domain and you will be able to answer. It doesn't work that way. Only somebody who has the key of that psychometric will be able to play with that psychometric. So don't get into playing with that assessment. It's a good idea to be engaged throughout the process. Make sure that you present the best version of yourself. Smile, don't be sad in the interview, and be present there, because it's just the process is going to take somewhere around 2.5 to 3 hours at the most, and give your complete concentration and attention. And I would like to close with only one thing: just prepare, because interviews, a lot of people are scared of interviews because they think that the person is trying to judge them, or a lot of people think as to what the person will say if I give this particular response. But if you look at any interview as an interaction rather than interview, the moment I say it's an interaction, you are at ease, because not only you are trying to get in that institute, they also want to select you. So it has to be a two-way flow of information, and the more relaxed you are, the more prepared you are, it is better for you. So that's it from my side. I'll be taking questions now. So I'll just go through the questions that we have got. Okay. So the first question is, I got 88 percentile in CAT. Which colleges can I get? Okay. So there are a lot of institutes that you can try, but also you'll have to check whether some of them are checking, considering the sectional cutoff or not. So what you can do is you can go to our website where we have written an article which you can refer to, and then from there you can figure out which institute you want to get into. Also depends on a lot of things: your interest, the location that you prefer, and so on. So I would suggest you do a little more research and then decide, rather than just saying that, okay, I got 88 percentile in CAT. So figure out your sectionals, the sectional cutoff of the institutes where you want to get in, and then decide, okay, which of them will probably be better in case you want to apply. Okay, we have another question, which is, which one is better among HR and marketing for a girl? Okay, so I'm personally not a fan of deciding specialization on the basis of a gender, because specialization has to be decided on the basis of your interest. You can't really decide on the basis of what has worked for somebody else, because eventually you will figure out that that is something that you're not enjoying. So what I would suggest is you can of course talk to some of the people who have worked in HR as well as marketing, and then maybe on the basis of your interaction with them you can take a call and find what your interest is. Are you really interested in HR, or are you interested in marketing? So also figure out if your personality type is suitable to that particular specialization. So typically in HR, the understanding that a lot of people have about HR is very different from what the actual HR is. So in HR, you not only do, because a lot of people think that it's only recruitment. It's not that way. So there is a complete employee life cycle from the time you put a job opening somewhere till the time the person leaves the company. And there are so many aspects to HR. Even for marketing, for most of for fresh B school graduates, the first job that you get is generally sales. So if you're not somebody who enjoys sales, there is no point getting into marketing. So you need to weigh the pros and cons of each of these specializations, and basis your interest and considering all the factors that are involved, then decide what do you want to do. So I wouldn't say that one particular specialization is better, because there are equal opportunities for both these specializations, and you should take a call by considering all the factors. So can you throw some light on information management and its scope? So, so I'm not too sure about the exact scope of information management, but I know a few people who have done that specialization. So in case you want, you can probably just message me later and I can put you in touch with somebody. But I don't want to comment on something that I personally don't know. So I say that I'm not too sure. But at the end of the day, for most of the institutes, that is the case, that a specialized, rather than the specialization, the brand matters more. So if you're from SPJIMR, the brand matters more than the specialization that you have done. So again, as I said, if you want, you can always ping me and I can put you in touch. We have another question. Can you give us an ideal answer for questions like why do you want to join SPJIMR when you can choose some other colleges with your percentile? Okay. So for this, you need to have your research about SPJIMR in place, and I would suggest that you do that, because as I said in the beginning, I did the Start Your Business program at SPJIMR, and some of the advantages of SPJIMR are the alumni network, the location, of course, because it's in Mumbai, Andheri, and the number of students itself. So there are so many courses, and the network is so huge that it's probably bigger than a lot of some of the other top B schools as well. So I'm not talking about the core MBA network. They have a big entrepreneurship community as well, which is very active. So about the core MBA program, of course, there are a lot of activities that keep going on, and they keep introducing new courses. I think recently they have started the PhD program as well. So your answer has to be about SPJIMR, that this is the research that you have done, and these are the factors that are, when you compare it with some other institutes, this is what you think is better. And that research has to come from your side. So I don't want to give a definite answer that this is what you should say, but things like, for example, number of PhD faculty, number of alumni who are occupying top positions, whatever, in the industry in which you want to work. So these are some of the things that we'll have to talk about. Of course, location placement is not something that you should focus on, but the learning opportunity. Talk about the difference that the course has. So in SPJIMR, you have to mentor somebody from some social responsibility. So you will be assigned a mentee with that person you have to spend some definite time period in the first year. So talk about these things, that this is what makes course at SPJIMR very different from the other courses, and that's why you want to join SPJIMR. We have another question. I have done electrical engineering. Which branch will be beneficial for such a background? Should I go for operations? So Saurabh, see, electrical engineering is what you have done so far, and it's not only at this point of time, but for a lot of people at various point of time in their life, they might re-evaluate the career choices that they have made or the goals that they have. So which branch will be beneficial for such a background? You should choose specialization basis what you want to do rather than what you have done. So what you have done will help you in some of the aspects. For example, if you have studied mathematics, it will help you in subjects related that have mathematics as their background. But if deciding the entire specialization on the ground that I have done electrical engineering is not a sound way to go about it, if you ask me. So whether you should go for operations or information management or something else is what you need to take a call at this point of time. So do you want to work in marketing or finance or operations? So decide basis that, because your background has very little to do with what you should be doing. And it's not mandatory that since you are an engineer and you should be taking operations or information management or whatever. So you have people from different backgrounds doing completely different things from what they have done. So I think just take a call, maybe discuss this with a few other people who are probably studying operations at SPJIMR, and just take an understanding from them, or go to LinkedIn and figure out people who have done operations from SPJIMR and what they're doing right now, or 3-4 years down the line. So these things you have to think of and then decide. Another question. Since I work for an IT company, they might ask that you can become a manager at your company even without doing an MBA. Then why do you want to do MBA on information management? How to answer this? So for most of the people, see, of course, you will be given these opportunities that if you, the opportunity is always there that you, in case you continue in your current company, you might be reaching this particular level in another 2 years, another higher level in another 4 years. Having said that, whether somebody really wants to stick into that company or not, that is a question. And the other is whether you are learning enough on the job. So you want to first of all fast track the learning that you have. So you want to change the learning curve that you have had over the last few years in the company. So let's say you spend 2 years in the company. Now in the domain that you are working, you've probably done about 60 to 70% of the entire function that that particular domain handles. So do you think that even if you become a manager, you will have enough learning and personal growth and professional growth? So these are the things that you'll have to think of and frame your answer accordingly. That though I think that of course I'll be given an opportunity to become a manager, I'm not too sure if I'll get enough learning on the basis of what I have seen in the organization. Or you can always say that you want to change, you want to learn information management so that if you have, let's say, entrepreneurship goals, then you can connect it to that. Or if you want to move to some other company or industry altogether, then you can talk about that. So there are a lot of ways of framing answers. If you have written your answer, then if you can send it to me, then I can maybe comment on it. Arya is asking for questions from our life. If we don't recollect the particular event, can we create stories? So it's always good to tell stories. So especially your life answers, there should be a good story. So a good beginning, conflict, and nice resolution, the way you have in movies. But it may not be possible to completely make up stories. That's very difficult to do because since it has not happened, you will not have memories from that event, and it's very difficult to bluff in any interview. So what I would suggest is, at least for a few typical questions, you can prepare answers, and you can probably work around the same thing. For example, one event that changed your life, one happy event of your life, one sad event of your life, one event where you thought you did something wrong. So these are the questions that even you can frame for yourself and then write answers. So what you can do is maybe just take some time now and write down about 15 to 20 life questions. And you should talk to your parents actually, because there is something that I recommend, that if you don't remember anything, they are the ones who will remember it. So show these questions to them. Even questions like strengths and areas of improvement, you ask somebody else, your close friend, family, they'll be able to tell you exactly what your answer should be. So yeah, write down maybe a list of questions and then try and prepare answers. Aniket is asking, I've scored 82 percentile in CAT, should I give CAT once again? So whether you should take CAT again or not, it's something that you should decide at the end of the entire season. So this year, on the basis of whatever percentile you have got, you should definitely apply to some of the institutes where you have a chance of getting in or getting a call at least. The advantage of this is that, see, even if you decide to take CAT again, you will have 1 year to cover up for the percentile gap that you have. So from 82, it's possible to go to a 95 plus, 98 plus. Having said that, if you don't have interview and GD experience this time, or the entire process experience this time, you will not have any base on which you can work. Okay, so that's why I suggest that you apply this time maybe to 2 or 3 institutes, see where you get in, and then at the end of it, you can always decide that I want to take CAT again. But that answer has to come from you. So I or anybody else will not be the right person to answer that question. That internal motivation and drive has to come from your side. That if I wait for another year, definitely I'm getting into, say, at least 10 to 15 rank better institute. How can I contact you in case of queries? So we are on Facebook, but I think even on QS Leap you can ask me a question, so I'll be able to answer it there. Does MBA from NIT is really worth it? Okay, so See, for IITs and NITs, there are very few IITs where the song is exceptionally good. So, barring those, I'm not too sure. But so, if you're planning to do it from NIT, might as well do it from try for IIT at least, rather than NITs. But again, depends on your percentile score. So you can try. Once you convert, at the end of the season, you can decide whether it is really worth to join the institute or not. And irrespective of the institute where you go to, try and be at the top of your game in the top 5% of the batch at least, so that you don't have any problem during placements or at a later point of time. So if you get into an institute which what you think is not one of the top institutes, you have to be the top student of that institute. Okay, so we always say that if you have number 1 institute and number 2 institute, it's better to be the best student of number 2 rather than worst student of number 1 institute. So that's my take on it. Just evaluate your options right now, apply, see what you convert, and then decide. Okay, possible IIT is at 93.8. Again, probably refer to that article and decide that way, because I'm not too sure exactly what the cutoff is for lower IITs. That's why I'm not commenting on it. Because for IIT Bombay, Delhi, Kharagpur, again, it's very high, even for Roorkee. So I'm not too sure about those institutes. But apart from that, I think the other IITs, you have a chance. Any questions related to SPJIMR group interview? Okay, Arshik is asking for corporate employees having certain years of experience. Do they ask questions on academic subjects, which is not easy to remember after 2 to 3 years of work? Yes. So as I said during the presentation as well, these are not extremely difficult questions. These will largely be fundamental questions. For example, in one of the interviews, so I have chemistry background. In one of the interviews, I was asked to define law of periodicity, which is again very basic chemistry, on which the entire periodic table is based. In one of the interviews, I was asked, why did you study chemistry? So these are the questions that you can expect, not something very highly technical that you studied in 3rd sem or 4th sem. You won't get that, but it will be very generic, very basic fundamental questions on that particular subject. As the example was given, the law of thermodynamics question is very common. So these are the things that you should prepare for. Apart from that, I don't think you can do much. So it doesn't make sense to go through your academic books and then prepare. So as you said, 2 to 3 years of experience, you will get more questions on your work experience rather than academics. So the distribution might be something like 80% of it, 80 to 90% of it will be work experience related. Because they also understand that it's a long time since you have completed your graduation, and probably it doesn't even make sense to ask those questions. So the interviewers are pretty sensible that way. So yeah, do we have more questions? Okay, I don't think we have more questions. What's the Tri-City PGM of SPJIMR? Oh, that is very different from the core program that is there. So the Tri-Cities, I think the Dubai, Singapore and India one. We have a student there, so I can check what exactly the prospect and everything about the program. But I'm not too sure how good it is. So you may want to do a full-time from some other institute rather than that. But again, depends completely on what you want out of your MBA. Okay, I think then we should close. So that's it from my side.
Yeah. Hi. Yeah, that was nice, Prasad. Thank you so much for your presentation. It was really nice. It was very well done.
Thank you.
And I'm really sorry once again for the interruptions that kept coming in middle. So thereafter, I kind of sort of started blocking everyone that was entering the session. So I think you must have noticed that people were coming and going constantly. That was me.
No, that's okay. I think I'm hoping the session was useful to all the participants.
Yeah.
And if you have any queries, you can always get back to us.
Yeah, I think that's the most important thing. So yeah, all those other disturbances aside, it was actually a very productive session because I think we've had quite a few questions. Also, Rashmin, I realized that you became very emotional somewhere in the middle. So I'm very sorry to you. My personal apology for you too, because I understand how all of you really are very important. This is very important to all of you. I get it, but yeah, this is not how it usually happens. I just want to tell you that because we've had quite a few webinars so far, and it hasn't been this way so far. So, but nevertheless, this was a nice session. I liked the fact that people asked questions because that's what I said in the beginning, that you guys should ask questions, and I'm glad. So
yeah, I think I just need to interrupt. Somebody is asking if we can share the HR and behavioral questions. So the entire session, I think is what you're going to upload.
Oh, you're asking me? Sorry. Yeah. We're gonna put this video up on Leap once we're done.
Okay, so this person who wanted those questions, I think, can just go through the slides quickly and then note down those questions.
Sure. So I see. Ideally, the next thing that I was going to say is that Prasad is present on our platform. He has a profile of his own, which I mean, I think when you guys okay, yeah, most of you probably did not register for the event, but if you go on your dashboard right now, on your CAT dashboard, you will find the event there. The event, this event, today's event, and under that you will see Prasad's profile there. You will see his name and his profile link. So once you go to his profile, you can send him a message. There's a message button, and so what you can do is all of you guys can put together all your questions in one message and send it across to him, and he can get back to you, I suppose. So yeah, that works out. Also, a little bit about what we are trying to do here. We want to sort of set up multiple events like this. So like we had an event with Prasad today because we understand that SPJIMR is like the hot topic right now. We also want to do more things in the future. So we will do more sessions with Prasad also. We will do, and he is a JBIMS alumnus. So we might want to have a session with him at some point regarding JBIMS if he's okay with it. So these ideas are all there in our heads and in our, all in the pipeline. So we are going to execute these things in the future. So please guys keep subscribe to our emails, and what I mean is just don't unsubscribe. That's all I mean to say, because I understand it might seem like spam sometimes, but it's all for the best. I mean, we're just trying to help you out. So yeah. So yeah, Prasad, thank you once again. It was a great session. Another thing that I wanted to say, was I think Arya sort of unmuted herself in the middle. If any of you want to sort of unmute yourself and have ask a direct question to Prasad now, you can do that, because I think now we are past the phase where the talking was happening. So if you guys want to do that, you can. Do any of you want to do that? Because I understand how some people are more comfortable talking rather than typing. So if any of you want to do that, you're free to do so. It's perfectly all right now. If anybody wants to, please go ahead. You can unmute. I realize I have. Yeah, I have unmute. No, I think I haven't blocked anybody per se. So everybody can unmute themselves if they want to. So right, Arya. I'm sorry, Arya. I had to sort of interrupt you in the middle, but yeah, that was. And at that point, I was a little upset, to be honest. I was kind of upset about what was happening. So anyway, but I'm glad you guys stuck around. You stayed with us. It was nice to see that. So yeah, anything else, Prasad? Do you want to say anything else?
No, I just want to wish everybody all the best, and do get in touch if you need any help. That's it.
Yeah, we're all here for you. Right. So this session was recorded, so it's going to go up on the website. So there's QSleep/videos, which is where the video archive is. If you go there, you will see this webinar. I'm going to upload it right after. Right after the session. It will probably not go up in the next 1 hour or so, but you will see it up there. Right. Okay. So I think we're done for now. It was great having you, Prasad. This was your first time, and I'm sorry about the disturbances, but I think you did a great job. Yeah. It was a great first time. That's what I'm trying to say. Right. Okay then. Yeah.
Take your leave.
So yeah, guys. Thank you so much for attending, everyone. Bye. See you all.